Welcome everyone, this is Brother Doug, coming back today because one of the last studies that I did for y'all, one of the last messages I brought, a sister told me that basically the shared screen didn't go through on free conference calls, so I'm going to be redoing this study, this message about whether or not Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob knew the father's name. So this is going to be very quick. I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as possible. So first we're going to go through, as you can see here, Exodus chapter 6, verse 3. Okay, so now I'm going to share screen the eSword as we're going to go through and look at different versions of this verse and how certain translators choose to translate it into the English. So we have the Bren Septuagint saying, "And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, unto Yacob," or Jacob, being their Alahim again. So it's kind of interesting. Al Shaddai is not even there. It just says being their mighty one, their almighty. "But I did not manifest to them my name Yahuah." So people will say, see, he didn't manifest his name ever to them. But if you go to a different manuscript that's pretty much just as old as the Septuagint, it says, "And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, unto Jacob, Jacob, by Alahim Almighty," or the Almighty, Alahim Almighty. Notice how in the brackets here it has the name of, which usually when a translator is being honest and they put brackets around words, usually they're letting you know that the original Hebrew, Aramaic, or Greek, whatever type of manuscript they translated it from, they're putting brackets around these words here, the name of, because it wasn't originally there in the Samaritan Pentateuch. So translators like the King James or any translators that put the name of, you're actually adding to the text. It wasn't there. So it says, "But by my name Yahuah was I not known to them." Okay, so this is phrasing it as a question in this manuscript that was translated into English. It's not phrasing it as a statement that he did not manifest his name to them. So this is a very controversial verse because it can be interpreted two different ways depending on what translation you have. Funny enough, the Masoretic text actually agrees with the Samaritan Pentateuch on this. Actually says the restored name King James that uses the Masoretic text agrees with the Samaritan Pentateuch. It says, "But by my name Yahuah was I not known to them." Okay, so now we go, if you go to any of, you go to this modern translation of the Aramaic Torah, it says, "I was not known by my name Yahuah, I was not known to them." So you have, it's pretty much 50-50 with the translations. But what I want to present is that if you go to the book of Revelation here, chapter 1, verse 10, it seems like a very similar problem here is that translators can choose how they want to translate a certain phrase, okay? The majority of translations for Revelations 1:10 will say, "I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day," or Yahuwah's day instead of the day of Yahuwah. So I am presenting to you possibly that that is the reason why we have such a controversial interpretation of Exodus 6:3. Because it depends on the translator. Whatever translation you have can pick or choose the way they phrase something. Now, could it be possible that they just misphrased it on purpose, that they messed up on purpose, so that you believe that the Father never revealed his name to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? I'm just putting forth a question to people out there. So far, we're going to go to other And unfortunately, it seems like my shared screen was timing out for some reason. So let me just put it on shared screen again, just so you can see this. So basically, here it is, Revelations 1:10 here, okay? It says, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day. And the restored name, King James, actually realizes it's talking about the day of Yahuwah, and they realized that it was misphrased by English translators to promote a doctrine of Sunday worship, okay? The Lord's Day in Christianity has been created by that religion to promote that we keep Sunday set apart or whatever instead of the Sabbath day. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind when thinking about how we should interpret Exodus chapter 6, verse 3, whether Yahuwah manifested his name to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob or not. So, okay. And it could be possible that if a translation says, by my name I was not known to them, could be that it's just rephrased to promote a specific doctrine. Just keep that in mind. It could be a possibility. Anyway, I don't want to keep ranting. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 13, verse 4. And as I have here on my notes, it says, let me just make sure this is actually going on the shared screen because sometimes it wants to mess up. Okay, so it says, every manuscript says in Genesis chapter 13, verse 4, Abraham called on Yahuwah's name. Okay, so we're going to check that. And I understand, I know there's going to be brothers and sisters that they might be trolling on the comments section here once I upload this to YouTube. Well, name also means his reputation, his character. I understand that. But let's keep it in context here. This is about calling upon someone's name, okay? All right. I think it would be a little ridiculous to think that he's only calling upon his character, okay? But anyway, as I digress here, okay. Let's start with the Samaritan Pentateuch and the Septuagint since they're the two oldest manuscripts we have, okay? Okay. I might even use some of the Aramaic Targum for my brothers and sisters that know that I've been looking into that also. So I might use that also in this study. So Genesis 13, verse 4 says, unto the place of the altar which he had made there at the first, meaning which he made at first, and there Abram called on the name of Yahuwah. Now, if we really, let's go again to the second witness here. It says, to the place of the altar which he built there at first, Abram there called on the name of Yahuwah. Okay, so both of these manuscripts, the Septuagint and the Samaritan Pentateuch, both say he called on his name. And if we really want to be technical about it, we can look at the word called and what does that actually mean. Okay, so it says a primitive root through the idea, and this is kara. Okay, so the Masoretic Hebrew, Strong's number H7121, which means to properly address by, to address someone's name, but used in a wide variety of applications, okay? Call, bidden, forth, cry unto, be, famous, guest, invite, mention, give, name, preach, proclaim, pronounce, publish, renounce, even the word say in English, to say someone's name. So I would say that, and not trying to be funny with that, but I would actually say that this specific Hebrew word kara literally means to say someone's name, to proclaim someone's name. It's not just talking about his character or his personality or who he is, okay? So we're going to move on, and you know what? Just for the heck of it, we might as well just go to the Aramaic Targum of the Pentateuch, the Torah, just for the heck of it, just to see if there's any differences, okay? So we're going to go to, and let's see here. So we got the Onkelos. Okay, so let's go here. I think what I'm going to do here, though, is I'm going to open it up in my Chrome browser because for some stupid reason, my Opera browser does not have an option to zoom in that much. So let me see here. I'm going to go to here and do copy and paste this URL. So you can actually, I'm going to put it on share screen. So we're going to stay at Genesis 13:4 just for a sec and just see if this third witness is exactly alike with well, this would actually technically be a fourth witness actually, but anyway. Genesis chapters 1 to 6. So now we are going to go to, all right, yeah, 1 to 6. So I actually have to go all the way to here, 12 to 17. Okay. So we're going to go, okay, let's see here. And here we go. It says, starting with verse chapter 13 here, Roman numerals, unfortunately. Anyone interested, this is the Aramaic Targum of the Pentateuch. I can give a link for this in the description. This is the Targum of Onkelos. So Targum is just a fancy word for translation. So this guy named Onkelos translated a Aramaic manuscript of the Pentateuch back in around 600, 700 BC. So we'll see if this could be a fourth witness here. It says, and Abram went up from Mitzrayim, he and his wife and all that he had, Lot with him, to go to the south. And Abram had become very strong in cattle and silver and gold, and proceeded in his journeys from south unto Bethel, and returned to the place where he had outspread his tabernacle at the first between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the altar which he had made there at the beginning. And Abram prayed there in the name of Yahuah. Okay, so he's actually praying in Yahuwah's name, his authority, his character, but even literally his name. And also unto Lot, who was remembered through the righteousness of Abraham, there were sheep and oxen and tents, and the land could not sustain them to dwell together. Okay, so, and let me just make sure here. So that was, we have, let me just make sure that's correct. So yeah, that would be Genesis 13. And let's see here if they actually give verses here. So you got verse 7. Okay, here. Let me see. How far down is the... Okay, Genesis 13:4. Sorry about that, guys. I was just getting confused exactly. All right, he says, okay, so we have, let's see, where does it start here? It starts in verse 4. So instead of called upon the name of Yahuwah, it says prayed in the name of Yahuwah. Sorry about that little rabbit trail there. I was trying to follow where exactly the verse I was looking for. Okay, my bad about that, guys. My bad. I'm going to try to make this hurry up a little bit. Sorry about that. Kind of lost my train of thought. Sorry about that. Okay, so Genesis chapter 12, verse 8. Again, Abram called on Yahuwah's name. Okay, so now we're going to go to Genesis chapter 12, verse 8. So you can see that again. So we're going to look at all manuscript versions of Genesis 12:8. Okay, so now we're going to go to my e-sword, Genesis 12:8. All right, here we go, which says, okay. Yep, here we go. And he departed there to the mountain eastward of Bethel, and there he pitched his tent in Bethel near the east sea, in Bethel near the sea, and a guide toward the east, and there he built an altar to Yahuwah, and he called and called on the name of Yahuah. Okay, so again, to say, to pronounce, to proclaim. Okay, that's what the word would have meant. Okay, and it says, and in the Samaritan Pentateuch, the same thing here. And there he builded an altar to Yahuah and called upon the name of Yahuah. Two witnesses here. Okay, so I hope you see how important it is to understand that it's very, very likely that Exodus 6:3 has been misworded in certain manuscripts and translations. So the only other interpretation you could have is that all these other verses are mistranslated, which I would rather have belief and trust that Exodus 6:3 is mistranslated in certain Bibles rather than all these other cross references that I'm about to go through are mistranslated. I would rather pick the latter, in my opinion. Okay, so that was Genesis chapter 12, verse 8, and for the heck of it, we could go into the Aramaic and see what it says there in the Targum of Onkelos. Go to the previous chapter on this page in chapter 12. Okay, so chapter 12 and chapter 12, verse 8, I think it is. Okay, so chapter 12, verse 8. Let's see how the Targum of Onkelos, the Aramaic Pentateuch, reads it. Okay, so you got, see here. And, okay, so we got, all right, here we go. He says, and he builded there an altar before Yahuah and prayed in the name of Yahuah. So he's actually praying to the Father in the Father's actual name. Okay, so that's very key there. Okay, so the Targum of Onkelos doesn't just say he called upon the name of Yahuah, he actually prayed in his name. Wow, it's pretty powerful in my opinion. Okay, so here we go. Now we're going to go back to the study here. We're going to move on here. So I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here. Okay, so now we're going to be at Genesis 21:33. So now we're going to go to Genesis 21:33. Okay, and which says, and Abram planted a grove in Beersheba and called there on the name of Yahuah, the everlasting Alahim. Now that's interesting. The Samaritan Pentateuch says everlasting Alahim. I'm not going to lie, I don't like the phrase grove there. I don't think he would be planting a grove. Yeah, I kind of like the Septuagint a little bit better than the Pentateuch. It doesn't say grove, so I kind of like that better. And Abraham planted a field, not a grove, at the well of the oath, meaning covenant, and called there on the name of Yahuah, the everlasting Alahim. So that's actually the first time I ever see the everlasting Alahim, if I'm not mistaken, actually in the book of Genesis, like the title of the everlasting Alahim. And planted a grove in Beersheba and called there on the name of Yahuah, the everlasting Alahim. Now, this is an interesting instance too. The Masoretic text supposedly it lacks the name Abraham in this verse. That's a little strange. The Samaritan Pentateuch has it. The Septuagint has it. That's a little strange, but kind of off topic. But anyway, so all three manuscripts say called on the name of Yahuah. So we have a basis of three witnesses here. Now, just for the heck of it, we're going to go to the Aramaic Targum here. And actually, I don't want to go to the Targum of Jonathan. I want to go to Targum of Onkelos. Okay. So now we're going to do Genesis, 21:33. Okay. So you go here, 18 to 22. All right. So we got 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, 21:33. So I'm guessing that's the last verse of the chapter, or the second to last verse. Okay, so yeah, so it's the second to last verse of chapter 33. So here we go. We're going to go all the way down here. Okay, it says right here, the chief of his army arose and returned to the land of Philistia, or probably the land of the Philistines, and he planted a tree in Beersheba and prayed there in the name of Yahuah, the Most High, Alahim. And Abraham sojourned in the land of the Philistine many days. So in the land of Philistia, or the Philistines. So in context, this is talking about Abraham praying to Yahuah. And again, it says he prayed there in the name of Yahuah, the Most High Alahim, instead of everlasting Alahim. So pretty similar. So we have 4 witnesses here for Genesis 21:33. We only have like 3 more cross references to go. Genesis 32 verse 9. Okay, so we're going to go first here and show you here. And Jacob, so now we're going to get to Jacob now. Okay, Jacob said, Alahim of my father, and the Alahim of my father Abraham, and Alahim of my father Isaac. O Yahuah, thou art he that said to me, depart quickly to the land of my birth. I will do you tube. Now, what's important here is that Jacob had to know the father's name, because he's calling Yahuah. He's not calling him Al Shaddai at this point in Genesis 32:9. At this point of his life, Yahuah must have revealed his name to him for him to say, oh, Yahuah. I mean, that's just, using common sense. Now, what's really weird is, here we go. Yeah, Samaritan Pentateuch here. And Jacob said, O Alahim of my father Abraham, and Alahim of my father Isaac, Yahuah which did said unto me. Okay, again, capital Lord here. This is the replacement for the tetragrammaton here. Okay, so he's calling the Father Yahuah. He's not calling him Al Shaddai anymore. So obviously at some point, Yahuah revealed his actual name to him. He actually revealed the tetragrammaton to him. Return unto your country and to your kindred, and I will deal with you. Okay, so that's Genesis 32:9. And let's see here, just for the heck of it, we'll go to the Masoretic text here. See here, it says, and Jacob said, O Alahim of my father Abraham, Alahim of my father Isaac, Yahuah, again, so he's calling him Yahuah here in the Masoretic text. So that's 3 witnesses there. Like I said, we might as well just go again to get a 4th witness here from the Aramaic. So now we're going with Genesis 32, verse 9. So we're going to go to the 9th verse in this chapter. Okay, let's see here. So, okay, here we go. And let me see here. Thus says your servant Yacob. All right, here we go. And Jacob said, Alahim of my father Abraham, Alahim of my father Izhak, Yahuah, who did say to me. So again, even the Aramaic is showing he's calling upon the Alahim of Abraham, Isaac as the name Yahuah. He's using Yahuah's legit name, his actual pronunciation of a name, He's not calling him Al Shaddai at this point. Okay? So again, that's a fourth witness from that verse. That's the way that verse is supposed to be translated. Yahuah introduces himself by his actual name to Jacob. So now we're going to go a couple of chapters prior, where he actually calls himself Yahuah and reveals himself as Yahuah to Jacob. Okay, so now we're going to go to Genesis, and hopefully the shared screen was actually going through the majority of the time. Genesis chapter 28, verse 13 here, and we'll even start with the Masoretic text. And behold, Yahuah stood above it and said, I, Yahuah, Alahim of Abraham your father, the Alahim of Isaac, the land wherein you liest, to you I will give it and your seed. So now he's making his covenant. This is the first time, basically, Yahuah makes a covenant with Jacob, and he's revealing to him, manifesting to him his name in the Masoretic text. If we go to the Septuagint, it says, and Yahuah stood upon it and said, I am the Alahim of your father Abraham, the Alahim of Isaac. Fear not the land on which you lies, to you I will give it and to your seed. So interesting, the Septuagint does not have him revealing his name in that verse, but the Masoretic text does, so that's kind of interesting. What about the Samaritan Pentateuch? Samaritan Pentateuch has it. Mind you, the Samaritan Pentateuch is just as old date-wise as the manuscript of the Septuagint, so keep that in mind. And behold, Yahuah stood above it and said, I, Yahuah, Alahim of Abraham, your father, and the Alahim of Isaac, the land wherein you lie, to you I will give it and to your seed. So again, Yahuah, he's saying, I, Yahuah, Alahim of Abraham, your father. So he's revealing himself as Yahuah, the Alahim of Abraham, the Alahim of Isaac, okay? So I know people will say, well, what about the Septuagint? Now, what people got to understand is these translations we're reading from are not the original source. Even the Breton's English Septuagint is an English translation of the Greek Septuagint. Sir Lancelot Breton could have chose, either by a bias he had or whatever, oh, okay, I don't want to put the Tetragrammaton with Alahim after it in that verse. I want to omit that. Okay, there's let's not give these translators too much credit, okay? Translators are not perfect, so we got to keep that in mind. That's why I like to go by 2 or 3 witnesses. So 2 witnesses so far say Yahuah revealed his name in Genesis 28:13. Now we're going to go to the Aramaic Targum, which actually predates the Septuagint and the Samaritan Pentateuch by a couple hundred years, actually. By about, I would say about 300-400 years about. Okay, so now we're going to go to, let's see, is it Genesis 28? Okay, so we're going to go to the 28 verse 13. Okay, so let me just make sure my share screen is already messing up, of course. So Genesis 28:13. Okay, so now we're going to try to find where exactly this verse is here. Okay, so it says, 25:28. So that would be 26, 27, and 28. Okay. All right, and let's see here. Okay. Okay, so the all-sufficient Alahim, where is it? Did I mess up here? Or maybe it's not there. Okay. Okay, hold on. So it says, The brother of your mother and all-sufficient Alahim barak you, and make you to increase, multiply, and become an assembly of tribes, and give baraka. All right. Mess up somehow. Hold on. Something happened because yeah, I'm trying to, sorry about that, guys. So 25, 26, 27, 28. See, Isaac called, and you shall not take away from his own. This sounds like chapter 29 almost. Okay. That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. All right. Well, anyway, for some reason I can't find it in the Aramaic here because they have stupid Roman numerals here. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see here. Because it starts talking about Isaac and Jacob, which that's not where I'm trying to get here. Yeah, there's something up here. I don't know why. It's very weird the way they word this stuff, and they break up the chapters extremely weirdly. Anyway, so the point I was trying to make anyway was that in the Samaritan Pentateuch, the Masoretic texts both show that Yacob called upon, well, not actually originally called upon, but Yahuah introduced himself as Alahim of his fathers. So anyway, so Genesis 26:25 is the last one, and this is where Yahuah reveals himself to Isaac, okay, as Yahuah. So Genesis 26:25. I'm sorry about that delay, guys. I was trying to find it in Aramaic. I apologize for that. And he built there an altar and called on the name of Yahuah. This is Septuagint right here. And he built there an altar, and he called on the name of Yahuah, and there he pitched his tent. And there the servants of Isaac dug a well in the valley of Gerara. So again, the Septuagint is saying that Isaac called on Yahuah's name where he built an altar. So he would have had to know Yahuah's name at some point. So Isaac built an altar there, and this is in the Samaritan Pentateuch here. And he built an altar there and called on the name of Yahuah and pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servants digged a well. Okay. So again, two witnesses for that. He called on the name of Yahuah. And it says, and he built an altar there and called upon the name of Yahuah and pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servants digged a well. So again, three different manuscripts say that he called on the Father's name, that he would have had to know Yahuah's name at some point in his life. So Isaac, Jacob, and Abraham all knew Yahuah's name at some point in their lives. So I just want to end this study. I really just want to end this study by saying this is my interpretation of Exodus chapter 6:3, okay? Originally, Yahuah manifested himself as the Almighty Alahim, or Alahim Almighty. And eventually, when Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were close enough with the Father, had a true personal relationship with the Father, and knew him on a personal level, that he eventually, during their lifetimes, revealed himself to them when they came into like a real close-knit relationship with the Father, like an intimate relationship with the Father, not, basically like, best friends. When they started becoming very close with Yahuah, Yahuah revealed his name to them at some point in all their lives. So that is what I believe Exodus chapter 6 verse 3 is saying, and basically that's the interpretation I would encourage people to understand from Exodus chapter 6, verse 3. Again, I would encourage you to study this topic for yourselves. I will be leaving these verses in the description for you guys to check out for yourselves just in case. And I will be leaving the link for the Aramaic Targum of Onkelos of the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Torah, so you guys can test stuff. I encourage you to get the e-sword. Please get the e-sword, guys. It helps with studying stuff. With going into the original Hebrew, the original Greek, it helps you really dig in deep. But I just want to thank you guys for joining today. Thank you for fellowshipping. And I want to say, I know some people are on different calendars today, and I know today for the people that keep the dark moon are having, they're already having the Feast of Trumpets. I just want to, say, happy Feast of Trumpets. Hope you have a great reverence-filled feast for the Father. And, remember, this is all about him and his son, Yahusha, this feast season that we're coming upon in the fall. So thank you for joining today. Hopefully this topic helped you reconcile certain verses that in certain translations it would seem these cross-references contradict with Exodus 6:3. So hopefully this was a study and message that helped you reconcile things, okay? And and anyone that's been listening in that doesn't know the Father's name, hopefully you see there is a definite importance knowing the Father's name. It's intimacy, with the Father. When you get close enough and you learn the character of the Father, you realize how important his name is to him. So have a great rest of your day, guys. Shalom.